Hey everybody, welcome back to Vinyl Rewind. Today I have a very special guest, Sid Haig. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
And today we're going to be talking about the Halloween original motion picture soundtrack. When going back and forth with Susie, I posed 3 different topics that we could talk about, and you chose Halloween, and I'm curious to know why you picked this over the other choices.
It's classic. It's so, there's a beauty to it, if you will. You know?
Oh yeah.
And the mix is done so well. Everything is crisp, it's clear, and it just takes you where you have to go.
I was doing a little bit of reading on this, and there's an interview with John Carpenter, and he screened the film for some executives without music, and no one was scared. And at that point, he made it his mission that the music saves this film. And I think he very much achieved that.
Yeah.
Because I want to say that half of the success of this film is the music. I mean, you can't think of Halloween without that theme.
They did experimental video. They took a film, Mad Max, and they played the scene with just the dialogue, and then they played the scene with the dialogue and the sound effects, and then they played the scene with the dialogue and the sound effects and the music, and then it came alive. It's just, the music takes you where you have to go.
What's so interesting too is that because of budget constraints and I'm sure time too, John Carpenter wrote the music, performed pretty much all of it, and he had some help in a matter of days, almost like 2 days. And also he scored most of this without the ability to watch the film. So it was called double blind technique or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away by that. He must have had that film in his head to do that.
Yeah, he had to. In terms of doing that, he was kind of like Hitchcock, in the fact that Hitchcock, when he wrote a film, he already had it edited. And he has said before, the most boring part of making a film is making the film.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up Hitchcock because Bernard Herrmann is one of the big influences for the soundtrack, and he incidentally did the soundtrack for Psycho, which is also in itself a huge influence on this film, and the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is the daughter of Janet Leigh. Yeah, that's amazing, how all that kind of just fits together like that, only in filmmaking, right?
Right. I know. It's like, who are we going to get? Well, let's get so-and-so's daughter who played this, and then we'll do that. Yeah, good.
But it worked. It definitely worked. Do you remember the first time you saw this film?
I've seen it so many times, I don't remember the first time I saw it. It's an amazing film.
I could be on a stretch here, but I'm sure it was one of those films that changed everything after it came out.
Yeah, well, there are films like that, you know, and this is certainly one of them. It made you look at film differently, you know, storytelling differently.
And you grew up as a fan of horror films. You've seen them from their most rudimentary, sort of like, let's say Dracula, like the first Dracula.
Yeah.
You're a fan, so you've seen the transition of these films.
And the fear factor is basically the same. The only thing is, in the early days, okay, with Universal, the House of Horror, there really wasn't a lot of blood.
Right.
Because they didn't have the special effects. I mean, people just didn't know how to do it. And then when that became developed, and we started adding more visual mayhem to the already crazy stories, then things really started getting elevated. And then there was some guy that made some film, and somebody got killed in the room, and he opened up the door, and this ocean of blood comes spilling out into the hallway, and I'm going, no, it's too far. Yeah,
less is more at that point.
Yeah, less is much more.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's really interesting about this Halloween, is that it's not incredibly gory. There's not a lot of blood, and it's probably due to the fact that it only costs $300,000 to make. They probably didn't have that in their budget.
When you could make a film for $300,000, how about that? Instead of $300 million.
You know, it made over $25 million in the box office.
Yeah.
That's what's insane. That return on investment, that's huge. In today's money, $300,000 is probably around $1 million. So I mean, still $1 million. You're doing really well there.
Yeah.
What people don't understand is all the stuff you don't see. That's what costs money. I mean, the food alone to feed everybody every day.
I don't know what it is right now, but at one time I just asked, and it was like $13 a plate for lunch.
Wow.
And you've got a cast and crew of 125 people or something. I've done a lot of ultra low budget films, okay, and the way that the money was spent made the film look much more expensive than it was.
Yeah. You were in the remake of Halloween.
That was funny because the film was already shot, put together, and being screened.
No way.
Yes.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, they had amazing screening in New York.
Yeah.
And he asked the Weinsteins for more money because he had extra scenes that he wanted to shoot. So he called me up like on a Thursday or something and said, what are you doing Saturday? I said, nothing. He said, well, I wrote a scene for you and Malcolm McDowell. It's at the cemetery, be there, whatever o'clock, blah, blah, blah. And so we went in and did it, and it was a lot of fun.
Getting back to this, it's a very expensive soundtrack to try to buy now. It's
really?
It starts around $50. I'm talking about original issue that came out in '79. I've seen them start at anywhere from 50 on up to 100, over 100. I bought this. This is a 2013 reissue by Mondo, and it was around $80. And this was less expensive and easier to come across than the original. I'm curious what you think of the cover here.
I like it.
And then the back cover here.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then you have
Ta-da.
the house.
The house.
Well, it's cool because it comes in these black sleeves, which I think is neat.
Yeah.
But then look at that.
It's amazing.
This was limited to 1,000. So they have a non-limited edition. It has a different cover, and these are black. And I think there was a few that were pressed in orange with pumpkin head labels. I was like, no. I gotta get this one.
Yeah.
So, truth be told, I did spend a little extra money.
But you got the product. You got the good stuff.
This one just looked better. Because the other one had Michael Myers' face, or this mask, I should say, and it just looked kind of weird, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just looked like they spread it up across the record, and it's all white. Just didn't seem as menacing as this one.
No, that's much more menacing.
So anyway, I was stoked to find this. Because not every soundtrack gets reissued like this. Sometimes you have to really track it down and take out a loan.
Yeah, I had a record that was like that. In 1958, I signed a contract with Keene Records.
Yeah.
And we did 6 singles for them. One was released called Full House and did really very well. Number 4 on regional charts here, there, and everywhere. And of all things, I didn't have a copy.
Oh, no.
Okay. And so I was looking for it. And this kid came to my table. I was doing a convention in Cleveland, actually Strongville, which is right outside. And he said, my friend and I have always wanted to go to a horror film convention, and when we saw that you were going to be at this, we decided this is the one.
Cool.
And they took a bus from South Dakota to Cleveland, Ohio, okay, to get an autograph. I said, can I buy you a sandwich or something?
Yeah.
You're extending yourself here.
Yeah.
The next month, I'm doing a convention somewhere else, and this guy comes up to me and he says, remember a kid from South Dakota? And I said, yeah, Cody, because you remember somebody's name when they extend themselves like that. And he said you were looking for this and you couldn't find it, so he found it and he wants you to have it. And it was that 45.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So, see, it's like I cannot deny the fans anything.
Yeah.
Okay, because
It's
they're
amazing.
so cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Horror film fans are the best there is.
Do you still play anything?
I don't have any time.
No.
I'm always doing conventions or interviews.
Right. Well, that's so cool, man. I gotta track that thing down now.
Yeah.
T-Birds, that's cool.
Well, actually, it's on my website. Go to the menu on the left-hand side. There's a listing that's called Audio Heaven. Click on that, and then it'll be either the first or second one.
Well, thank you so much, Sid. This has been an honor and a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a great time.
Yeah, and thank you for this awesome drink. You guys should learn how to make it. Sid Haig's Gumball Martini is fantastic. And thank you guys so much for watching. Until then, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side.